INARF has long been recognized ever since it was started in '74 when it had its first paid staff, Costa. It had a strong presence in governmental affairs. Costa made that happen. He not only wanted a seat at the table, he ensured that INARF members had a reservation at the table. Costa was one of the most passionate individuals you would ever meet. I mean, there was only black or white. It was not gray. Beyond God and family, he loved this industry that he invested so heavily in. He would put everybody on his back if he had to, and he'd protect them from harm's way. He was that type of person. You may consider Patton a wartime general and Omar Bradley a peacetime general. Well, Costa, in my opinion, you wouldn't want any better person, any better leader to lead you into an adverse situation, because I'm sure that he would bring the resources to bear that would prevail. When we had the march on the State House during the Medicaid crisis in the early 90s, I mean, Costa was up there waving his hand, you know, in his own inimitable way, and calling on the Bayh administration to not close group homes and to fund them the way they should be so that people could live in a smaller setting. And I mean, I'm telling you, he stood up there and railed against this administration, but yet he wouldn't back away, even if he thought he would be ostracized or chastised or being removed from the seats at the table. And then he was such a loving guy too. I mean, it was as much as he could get upset with the director of the Division of Disability and Rehab Services or the secretary of FSSA, after he just railed against them and just took them to task for some inept, he would say, "Jim, go and buy them some flowers," and you can't do that in this day. Go and buy them some flowers and go and make peace with them, because he really had a soft side. But at the time he could get so excited and so agitated, that he wasn't going to let someone intimidate him. In fact, his preference was to intimidate them. Costa worked to ensure that the Senate Bill 317, I think it was in the '97 legislature, was enacted, and that created the 317 Commission, which wrote a plan, which became part of the 317 plan, which basically changed the way and manner in which services for people with intellectual and developmental disabilities were planned, designed, and paid for. And it took money and invested in the service delivery system that helped set the stage for modernized services in the 21st century. Kathy Davis was the chair, and she was also the head of the Family and Social Services Administration. He died before the last State Developmental Center was closed, but he and John Dickerson and some key people within the Family and Social Services Administration helped to close Newcastle and Muscatatuck State Hospital, and he really believed that everyone should be in the community. He was on the president's, he was appointed as Justin Dart's vice chair of the President's Committee of Employment of People with Disabilities. He lived a life like that. He created the Office of Consumer Affairs Initiatives within INARF for a period of time. He served on as president of the Governor's Planning Council for People with Disabilities for many years. And so he embodied not only this value, but he implemented it in his lifelong work.